UFC 316, Dvalishvili versus O'Malley 2 just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card. And this was, overall, a very good card, especially the prelims, which we're going to start with here, with Marquel Mederos versus Mark Choinski. I went with Marquel Mederos to win. I said he would win by decision, I think. Maybe I said TKO, but I think I said decision. And he got the job done by decision. And Joe Rogan, I did not listen to the commentary for this fight, but I already know Joe Rogan loved this one. Marquel Mederos was tearing up the calf kick. He's done on that leg. That leg is toast of Mark Choinski. He's having trouble putting weight on that leg. I can already hear the echoes of Joe Rogan talking about the effects of the calf kicks from Marquel Mederos, because that was the story of this fight, really. Marquel Mederos was doing good. Mark Choinski did land some good punches here and there to keep himself in the fight. Had a decent second round, but then every time that Mark Choinski started to do a little bit better for himself, Marquel Mederos just sort of upped the level that he was better than Mark Choinski at. So round 3 was the most competitive round, which is interesting because in the first 2, you wouldn't have expected the third round to be competitive. Mark Choinski, even though he was getting hurt to his legs and he was getting hurt in general, he kept still somehow finding his way to the back of Marquel Mederos in this fight. In round 2, he was really badly hurt on the ground, went down with a low kick. He got dropped in this fight, and he would somehow find his way to the back of Marquel Mederos. But Marquel Mederos did too much damage in this fight, hurt Mark Choinski, had him hurt to the legs in this fight as well. Those calf kicks. Benson Henderson, man. People forget, man. Marquel Mederos brought back the calf kicks for this one, made Joe Rogan proud. There were a ton of calf kicks on the prelims here that we're going to go through. Round 3 being the most competitive one. Actually, a judge gave the third round to Mark Choinski. I don't know if I agree with that, but it was a close round. Marquel Mederos wins the fight by decision. Impressive win. Yeah, he got the job done. It was kind of a gimme fight for him, and he ended up pulling it off. We move on up the card to another fight. Quillan Salkilld versus Yanal Ashmouz. I went with Quillan Salkilld to win this fight, but I did tell you guys, I don't see domination here. He did dominate the fight. They gave Yanal Ashmouz, I believe, the third round because he actually had Quillan Salkilld in some kind of like, you could sense there was some almost momentum shift for a moment. But Quillan Salkilld did his thing. He landed good shots early. He picked up as the fight went on into the second round. He had a really good second round. And he got his grappling off in this fight. That was the story of this fight. It was Quillan Salkilld mixing in the grappling. This was not the same situation of, you know, Quillan Salkilld going in there against Anshul Jabli and immediately finish him in the first round. This was a hard-fought victory for Quillan Salkilld. He used a lot of effort to get this win. Went for a ton of takedowns. 23 takedowns he went for in this fight. Got 8 of them. Not even to get a crazy amount of control time either, but he did spend a lot of time on top, doing his thing, landing shots here and there. Nothing too crazy. I don't think Quillan Salkilld is going to be some kind of future champion. I think he's good, though. So there may be time to improve. So I'm not going to be too hard on Quillan Salkilld because there may be time to improve in his career. He's only young. He's younger than me. So he's still got time to improve. I think Quillan Salkild's got a bit of a bright future. But yeah, good job. Won by decision. Yanal Ashmouz kept it somewhat entertaining throughout the fight. And Salkilld gets it done by decision. We move on. Up the card, Joosang versus Saragih. Now this one was a brutal, nasty KO win from Joosang. I actually said, because I watched a lot of his regional fights leading into this, that he wasn't that good early doors in the regional scene, but recently he's very much improved. And he showed that in this fight, because he went from taking people that he was basically been put in there to lose to him. Like, he had these people paid to lose, not paid to lose to him, but these guys were showing up to lose to him, basically, and add to their 23-30 record and make it 23-31 against Joosang. And his name's Zombie Jr., so he fancies himself a new Korean zombie. And what a way to start in the UFC. Nasty one-punch KO on the back foot with a left hook. Down goes Saragih, flatlines towards the canvas. It didn't even look like it was a crazy powerful punch that he threw. He didn't put a lot of impact into the punch. He just sunk Joosang to the. He just sunk Saragih to the canvas and face planted him badly in the first round. I think it was because Saragih was just not attached to the canvas when he got hit with that left hook. He kind of rushed in, and then his feet were like actually off the ground when he got hit by the left hook, and he just flatlined forward in the fight immediately in the first round. 28 seconds in, Joosang, nasty KO win, got a performance bonus for it as well. What a way to make a debut. Really good job by Joosang. We have another Korean zombie in the UFC. Zombie Junior is on the come up right now, and we needed that. We needed a Korean representative in MMA, and we got one in Joosang, so we'll see how far he can go. He looks quite talented. We move on. Wang Cong, or Tong Tang, or whatever they were calling her during the fight. Wang Cong versus Ariane de Silva. Was it Wong Tong? Maybe that's actually how it's pronounced, but I didn't think that was how it was pronounced. And John Anik and Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier were calling her like Wong Tong on the commentary. And I thought, oh my God, they're messing up the name so badly. This is horrible to listen to. I was literally in the middle of the fight going, what are they calling her? Her name's very clearly Wang Cong, but no, according to the commentary, her name was Wong Tong. Like, I don't know, DC had the soup on his mind, I guess, during the commentary. But she won the fight very convincingly, won every single round. There were moments where Ariane de Silva, or formerly Ariane Lipski, did have moments. Like in the third round, I actually think that she hurt Wang Cong to the body in a moment, but Wang Cong kind of just disguised it well. But you could very clearly tell that Wang Cong's body language changed for a second in the third round. But first, second, and third were all very, very clear to Wang Cong. She just pieced up Ariane de Silva. This is a girl who won against Shevchenko in a kickboxing match. You're not going to be able to out-kickbox her. And Ariane de Silva did not effectively mix in the takedowns. And again, Joe Rogan's going to love this. The calf kicks. They were brutal. She's going to have trouble on that leg. And Ariane de Silva had a lot of trouble on her leg. She ended up resorting to southpaw, I believe. And she wasn't as good from there whatsoever. So Wang Cong started like, after she chopped up the leg and made Ariane de Silva switch stances, she started switching to like a body shot, like a really hard straight right to the body, or a right hook to the body off the rear hand. And it was really, really badly hurting Ariane de Silva in moments. So Ariane de Silva is tough to stay in the fight because Wang Cong was hitting her with some really good shots. Wang Cong is very, very good. High output, high volume, a lot of damage. And yeah, this was a very entertaining fight. And she's a very entertaining fighter, Wang Cong. So I'm happy that she's in the rankings at women's flyweight. We got another prospect coming up right behind Natalia Silva. This is good for the division. And there were some moments where Wang Cong worried me, though, where she would go in and get stung really badly by shots off of Ariane de Silva. I know you can't not get hit in an MMA fight, but sometimes when she rushed in, her chin was wide open. So, I mean, that's how she got beaten before. And what's crazy about this is that Wang Cong, because she has some level of hype and she's entertaining to watch, she's been given a ranked opponent while the girl that beat her is not getting this treatment whatsoever. And it was not that long ago when it happened as well. So Wang Cong getting that treatment, but she deserves it because she's very, very fun to watch. And we need that right now in the women's flyweight division. We move on. Andreas Gustafsson versus Khaos Williams. This was the first fight that I got wrong on the card, and not the last. We'll talk about the main event soon. I went with Khaos Williams because when he hits people, they go to sleep. And I thought, you know what? Andreas Gustafsson, he just swarms you. Full pressure, high volume, charging forward, putting you on the back foot, getting you in your face the whole time. And I just thought back when I watched Andreas Gustafsson fight on the Contender Series. And I thought, you know what? He's going to go forward. He's going to charge into the pocket against Khaos Williams. There's a very good chance Khaos Williams just sleeps him out cold when he does it. That was my thought process here. But Andreas Gustafsson, I mean, you know, people talk about Merab's weaponized pace, and we'll get to it later in this video. People do talk about Merab's weaponized pace and how crazy it is to watch. No. This is a weaponized pace that I can get behind. He was on Khaos Williams non-stop. And even though they spent a lot of time up against the cage, he was non-stop trying to beat the fuck out of Khaos Williams in this fight. And you could see it on Khaos Williams' face. He must have felt like he was in a nightmare against Andreas Gustafsson. A nightmare. Every time they separated and Gustafsson was done elbowing him in the face and kneeing him in the body in the clinch, they separated and Khaos Williams was like, oh, finally, I've got some space. Here comes Andreas Gustafsson. Moving forward again, and it's just like, oh my God, this guy does not stop moving forward and throwing heat at his opponents. He's swinging shots over the top. He's landing shots in the pocket. I'm surprised Khaos Williams, his name's Carlin Williams. I'm surprised that Khaos Williams didn't get slept in the fight because he got hit with some really big shots. So it's a credit to his toughness that he didn't get TKO'd here. But this was probably one of the worst ass whoopings of the year so far. In the first round, they were a little bit more even in the clinch with each other. But this guy actually got a 30-26 in the third round because he was beating the shit out of Khaos Williams in this fight. It looked like it was bullying. It genuinely was bullying. He was dragging around Khaos Williams, dragging him down on the canvas. He was dragging him down from like over-unders and just throwing him over. It was just a crazy strength difference that he had. And was just teeing off on the ground. Every time Khaos Williams got back up, he was looking to land elbows to the face. He sliced open Khaos Williams' face. Khaos Williams' face was a mess by the end of the fight. Knees to the body over and over again. Punches in the clinch. And even at range, he just started chucking him over the top of Khaos Williams' arms. And you could see, like, after the first minute of every round, Khaos Williams' arms just didn't have the pop to do anything about Andreas Gustafsson, who just walked straight through him and beat the shit out of him for 3 straight rounds. So, incredible performance by Andreas Gustafsson. What a debut. Khaos Williams is a very tough guy to beat in your debut because Randy Brown, Khaos Williams had an incredibly close fight, and Randy Brown is said to be one of the most underrated welterweights on the roster. And Andreas Gustafsson just mauled him. He's the mauler. He's the mauler. I know he calls himself Bane, but, you know, surname Gustafsson, Alexander Gustafsson, the mauler. This was a mauling from Andreas Gustafsson. He absolutely walked through him and beat the shit out of him for 3 straight rounds. Incredible performance. We move on. Waldo Cortes Acosta versus Serghei Spivak. You know what? Waldo Cortes Acosta won this fight. I don't think he won the third round, nor do I think he landed as much as the strikes say that he did. He was landing a lot off the forehead of Serghei Spivak and also on the guard. I did think that Waldo won the fight, though. In the first round, I thought, you know what, it's close. Spivak got a takedown, and Spivak was landing the better shots out of the two of them when it came to his low kicks, which he did very, very few of, but every time he did it, they really worked. He threw body kicks that were really good. He threw a head kick in the first round that landed right in the eye of Waldo Cortes Acosta. In the third round, I know that Waldo Cortes Acosta was acting like he was mocking him and he actually got me for a second. So I was like, oh my God, he's hurt. And oh no, he actually got me. He's dancing and salsering it off. You know, me no black, me Dominican. You know what I mean? He is salsering it off. Me no black, me no Dominican. And Serghei Spivak was few and far between. That was the problem in this fight. A lot of people said robbery. I don't say robbery. I say 2-1 Waldo Cortes Acosta because I did think that Serghei Spivak did hurt him in the third round. Maybe on 2 different occasions. He actually did hurt him in the third round, and Waldo was just sort of peppering shots at his guard with volume without doing too much in terms of damage to Spivak. Round 2 was very clear to Waldo. Round 1 was very close, but I gave it to Waldo Cortes Acosta because even though he was on the back foot and Spivak was landing good shots, he was still landing some good ones back himself, and I thought he landed some more good ones than Spivak did in that round if you really rewatch it. But 30-27 seems like an insane scorecard, so I didn't understand that scorecard whatsoever. And when I heard 30-27, I went, oh, well, Spivak's won it then. They can't give every round to Waldo. But then again, that would have been a terrible scorecard as well. So, interesting scorecard there. Yeah. I don't think that was that bad of a decision. And I picked Serghei Spivak to win. Waldo Cortes Acosta gets it done. He is awful, though. They are awful at fighting. It's one of those things where I don't go to the gym. And I know I got a chubby face. I get that. I don't go to the gym. I barely work out. Every now and again, I'll just hit chest and tries, or I'll do some bicep curls every now and I do not take it serious. I don't do any science-based lifting. And I'm bigger and leaner than these heavyweights. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is the state of this heavyweight division? I don't train and I'm bigger and leaner than you. What are you doing all day? What are you doing all day? Like, seriously, what do you get up to in your time off? They rock up, and Spivak, the low kick, is there all the time in this fight. Waldo Cortes Acosta has an extreme weakness to low kicks, but none of these heavyweights can figure out how to do it. So, I mean, we may be looking at a situation in a year's time where the next up-and-coming contender for Tom Aspinall to fight is Waldo Cortes Acosta. So, I don't know, man. He's now top 10 UFC heavyweight, so we move on. Azamat Murzakhanov versus Brenson Ribeiro. I went with Azamat Murzakhanov winning this fight by first round TKO. He won the fight by first round TKO against Brenson Ribeiro. Smoked him in the first round. Ribeiro landed a couple of kicks, a couple of stomps to the legs of Azamat Murzakhanov. But I said this in the build-up. He's like Fedor. Sure, he's a little bit chubby and small for the division, but he's got deceptively fast hands and insane power in his hands as well. And he showed that in this fight. He cracked Brenson Ribeiro on the jaw early in the round and had him really badly wobbled, and then followed up afterwards with some nasty ground and pound. And Brenson Ribeiro just sort of stopped moving, just covering, not intelligently defending himself. Could it have gone on a few punches longer? Maybe, but it doesn't need to if it's on the prelims of a card and it's Brenson Ribeiro. Like, if it was a championship fight, maybe they let that go for another 5 seconds to see if Ribeiro starts moving again. But he just wasn't intelligently improving his position. So Azamat Murzakhanov gets the job done by TKO in the first round. Nasty performance from him. We move on. Joshua Van versus Bruno Silva. Nasty stuff from Joshua Van. Joshua Van's genuinely one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. I'm going to be rooting for him moving forward non-stop. I've been rooting for him. I love his style. He reminds me of like a flyweight Peter Yan. Dare I say, though, it's like cleaner shit to watch. Like Yan, but no, I take it all back, because Yan's fighting championship level fighters and Joshua Van is fighting Bruno Silva. So when Yan was up against this caliber of bantamweight, he was doing them dirty. You know what I'm saying? He was getting finishes and beating the piss out of them. So it's different. They're at different stages in their career. So I take back what I said. But he's very similar to Peter Yan with the way he throws punches. Even the way he steps through with the lead 2, then step through with the lead again, or the left hand again. Throw the left hand, right hand, step through left hand. That's the same thing that Yan hit Faber with. It's the same thing he's hit a few opponents with as well. And Joshua Van is just so fun to watch. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's 23 years of age. He's active as fuck. He's always entertaining. Let me go through Joshua Van's recent career, and then I'll talk about the moments of the fight here. Joshua Van, I mean, Zhalgas fight was a scrap for 3 straight rounds. He wins the fight. Kevin Borjas fight was a scrap for 3 straight rounds. Felipe Boone's fight, he finishes him. 2nd round TKO, crazy fight. Then he loses to Charles Johnson, a little bit too tall and rangy for him. He's a little small for the division, and that is going to be his problem moving forward. But since then, and that loss was in July of 2024, not even a year ago, he's had 4 fights. A scrap with Edgar Chairez at UFC 300 or 306. Riyadh season Noche UFC at the Sphere. Absolute insane fight. Probably one of the best fights on that card. No, probably the best fight on that card. Absolute scrap with Edgar Chairez. Then the Cody Durden fight. He takes that fight how many months later? 3 months later. Has a scrap with him. So much volume and output there where he's beating up on Cody Durden. Amazing fight and performance there. Then Ray Tsuria stuffs all the takedowns. Not as exciting of a fight, but the way he was stuffing the takedowns and picking apart Ray Tsuria on the feet was fun to watch. Not his most entertaining performance, but then this one, he just stole the show again. I love watching Joshua Van fight. First round, a little bit more competitive. Bruno Silva's landing a lot of low kicks on him, so he has to deal with that and figure that out. I said at the start, Bruno Silva's very explosive off the mark, and immediately as I said that, he chopped low with a kick on Joshua Van and sent him off his feet with it. So he's very explosive early as Bruno Silva. Joshua Van's just so patient now. Makes you miss, gets to you, breaks you down, stalks you, lands to the body, lands to the head, peppering with the jab. He started double jabbing. We're double jabbing now in MMA with our striking. I mean, it's just glorious to watch. Joshua Van put striking on the map in the flyweight division. And I've got a very itchy nose right now. And Joshua Van gets it done. Nasty stuff. Drops Bruno Silva at the end of the first round. Drops him in the second round as well. And then even in a moment in the second round where he got taken down. And Bruno Silva started having some success with the takedowns. There was another takedown that he went for after he got wobbled by Van. Like, Van cracked him and wobbled him. And then Bruno Silva shot in. And Van sprawled and kneed him in the face at the same time. He shucked off the takedown, grabbed the clinch, and kneed him straight in the face and crumpled him to the canvas. I don't know how Bruno Silva survived that fight. Ridiculous toughness from him. He didn't survive the fight. He got finished at the end of the third. I forgot. In the third round, Bruno Silva actually has a good account for himself at the start of the third round, but Van just stays on him with his combinations, with his punches, double jab, pepper in the face back of Bruno Silva, and now Van takes the center. Now Van's cutting off the cage, jab to the body, move out the way of that low kick. 1, 2, cracks Bruno Silva on the chin. Dip out the way, counter hook. Bruno goes flying past him, stumbling away. Like, it was great to watch. I like watching Joshua Van, always. I'll always root for him. I say give him Brandon Moreno at UFC Noche. And this was just violence from Joshua Van start to finish. Third round finish hurt Bruno Silva to the body with some good shots. His teeps were good this fight. His front kicks to the body were good this fight. That's what he was going for when it came to like his ranged kicks that he was throwing. He didn't do much low kicks here. But yeah. Loved it. Hurt Bruno Silva to the body in the third. Little bit of a delayed reaction. Wobbled him on the feet. He crumpled in the corner and Joshua Van gets a third round finish. Lovely to watch. Always a pleasure to watch Joshua Van. As I said, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. I'll always be paying attention. We move on. Up the card. Kevin Holland versus Vicente Luque. I went with Kevin Holland here. And I said he would win by decision. I did not see him getting a submission over Vicente Luque. We made Kevin Holland start caring. We made Kevin Holland start taking his career serious. And we are the reason for his success because we harped on him for it for so long after he was talking about not caring and not putting in the work. But while Kevin Holland is disciplined at 170 pounds, he's a problem. He's insanely durable. He's very, very powerful as well for the division. And he's got nasty submission attempts. Just how good is JDM? No, I'm joking. But seriously, though, just how good is JDM? I know it was a split decision, but JDM, in my opinion, scored him that fight and never got hit with anything big in that fight whatsoever and never got put in any danger, which is tricky to do against Kevin Holland. And just how good is MVP on the feet as well. Dude, Holland is tricky at welterweight. And unfortunately for Luque, the start of the first round just didn't go good for him. He was on a single leg immediately, and Holland must have landed about 15 unanswered significant strikes while Luque was holding on to a single leg. So Luque did try and grapple a bit early, and Holland was just like defending on one leg and punched him in the face over and over again and to the side of the ear. And Luque actually had a massive welt behind one of his ears as well, so great start to the round from Holland. He then wobbled Luque with an elbow badly. And in true Luque fashion, after getting wobbled, he fires right back. Holland cracked him with an elbow, hit him with that 45-70. Wobbled Luque a little bit, like jolted him, like when Woodley cracked Luque and had him in that same situation where his whole body looked like he's been electrocuted. And then he starts going in for a finish on Luque. Bang! Luque cracks him back, gets his respect. And Holland's like, okay, I'm going to have to be a bit more patient about this. And then round 2, Holland gets him in a Dash choke, latches it up, or an Anaconda choke, latches it up out of nowhere. And Luque looked like he wanted to roll all the way over. He actually seemed a little bit unurgent to escape it because he was like, I can escape this. I'm going to get flat with Kevin Holland. I'm going to roll over the top and get my back flat to the canvas and make sure there's no angle or I'm crumped up. But his leg got trapped in the legs of Kevin Holland, and Holland kept it there by squeezing his legs together. And ended up submitting Vicente Luque with an Anaconda choke, which is Luque's move. Very impressive from Kevin Holland. Very good win. I thought he was going to win this fight comfortably by decision, but he proved me wrong by submitting Vicente Luque, which is very difficult to do. Very, very difficult to do. So credit to Kevin Holland. Very good performance. He got a performance bonus for it as well. When you move on. Mario Bautista versus Patchy Mix. Okay. C3PO, Patchy Mix, no head movement. Now, I've seen Patchy Mix's fights. which is why I hyped him up so much. Because I was thinking, but you know what it is? He's dealing with grapplers. You know, they're trying to take him down. He's not letting it happen. They're now stuck on the feet with him. And he can deal with that. And he can catch them in unorthodox positions and out-scramble them in moments and take their back from weird angles. And once they get him down, he can work off of his back and do work from there and catch them as they go for a takedown with a dash choke and latch it up in round one. And he does have a lot of power in his hands if he does land clean in the first round. The numbers that are being said here were actually a lot closer than I thought they were. 43-36 in round 1, 65-59 in round 2, 65-27. But again, what it came down to is this. Patchy Mix has finished a bunch of guys. Raytheon Stott's first round finish. Nasty. Need him in the face immediately. Flatline KO'd him. Has finished all of these other opponents. Went to a decision with some other guys that are vets, that have been around, that have fought Demetrius Johnson for the belt, that have fought for world titles. You know, Magomedov beat Peter Yan on the regional scene. Yan then beat him and then went on to go to the UFC. And, you know, he's fought guys that have lost to Merab. He fought guys that have beaten Merab. So he had all of these names on his record that are like, dude, these guys are like really top level. They would be top level in the UFC. But as we're finding out about these Bellator guys, they're not top level in the UFC. Like, there's something about being over there in Bellator where you don't raise your game to the level that you need to raise it to, right? Where there's not that next level that you need to take your game to. In the UFC, you win a few fights, and then it's like, damn, there's killers ahead of me. And you might not even be ranked yet, but there's killers ahead of you. You need to take your game to the next level. Then you get ranked. You need to take your game to the next level. Then you get top 10. You need to take your game to the next level. In Bellator, you beat a couple guys. You get into title fights, and you start picking up these names. There's no demand. There's no gulf above you. You know what I mean? There's no ladder to climb even further. So they kind of plateau at this mid-level. They're only as good as their competition. They only raise their skills to the level of their competition. And I guess when they get to the UFC, they think, oh, well, I'm at the top level of competition. I'm going to beat these guys. We just saw it with Pitbull. But Patchy Mix was different because he hadn't lost. And he was in his prime, and he was on a streak, and he was finishing guys. But no. Patchy Mix didn't move his fucking head. I moved my head more watching the fight on behalf of Patchy Mix than Patchy Mix moved his head within the fight. I mean, I'm serious here. He did not move his head the entire fight. I thought at first, this guy's nervous as fuck. I said it in the first round before he was even getting lit up by Mario Bautista. How did they give a round to Patchy Mix? A judge Saudi Amato gave a round to Patchy Mix. Absolutely disgraceful. And, Patchy Mix just did not move his head. And you know what it was? Mario Bautista, and this was such a clear sign. If I could have live bet, I would have. I don't bet. Mario Bautista was wide-eyed and, you know, like a regular UFC fighter would be. But, like, it was what I'm saying is that was a natural way for his body language and face to be. He was going with whatever it was, Mario Bautista. Like, I'm in the cage. Who cares what I look like while I'm fighting? I'm fighting right now. Whereas Patchy Mix seems to be making a very conscious effort. Let me know if you think I'm right or wrong. Patchy Mix seemed to be making a very conscious effort to look stoic. He was making sure to do this. The whole fight. You know? Squinting his eyes. Tensing his jaw the entire time. He was making a point to, like, counteract what he was feeling and lock in. You know? And he was so stiff. His kicks looked so stiff. He was not turning over his hips. He was kicking like Sean Strickland out there. And at a bantamweight is not a good look. And, dude, he just came undone. Like, and credit to him, he's tough. He took a lot of shots on the chin that should have maybe put him out. And he stayed in there. And again, based on these numbers, it would seem that he kept up. But I don't think they were landing as clean as Mario Bautista's. When it comes to clear punches that were landed, Mario Bautista was the was the one that was landing the clean punches here. The straight shots down the pipe on Patchy Mix, just not moving his fucking head. Not moving his head. Everyone said it. He looked stiff as a board in round 1. So stiff. No fluidity in his movement. Standing upright and tall. Doing his face to try and lock in. You know? There was just no fluidity. There was no movement. There was no Mauricio Huffy-ish type movement, you know, where he's doing a couple. Even O'Malley in round 1 against Merab was doing his little stutter step. You know, scooting around a little bit, floating a bit, fainting a few times, floating. There was none of that from Patchy Mix. He was so rigid, it was uncomfortable to watch. And that's why everyone picked up on it. Everyone was tweeting. He looked stiff as a board in round 1. Insane from Patchy Mix. An insane drop-off in... That might be one of the worst UFC debuts compared to what we expected coming in terms of talent in a long time, because it looked like he just didn't. And there was no change-up. He shot a takedown and failed it really badly. But he did not try and change it at all. He just kept going that way, thinking that maybe one time down the line, he's going to be able to like break Mario Bautista as the fight goes on. And then the saddest part about it was, in the 3rd round, he would land a couple of decent shots and go, come on then, and start lifting his hands up. Like for a moral victory. Like, yeah, I'm doing something, you know? So it was just... I don't know. Patchy Mix, not a great debut. And Mario Bautista wins. Credit to Mario Bautista, man. I don't want to talk all about how bad Patchy Mix was. Mario Bautista stayed active. He had a fun performance. He tried to put on a show. And yeah, he got the job done by unanimous decision, just scrapping it out for 3 straight rounds. Mario Bautista's good, man. But it was more Patchy Mix just being so stiff. If you would have told me that, oh yeah, you know, Patchy Mix fought with a broken spine in that fight. Any other fighter, if they try and pull that fucking excuse, I'm like, shut the fuck up. You fought with a broken spine in that fight. If somebody would have told me, oh yeah, Patchy Mix actually got into a car accident. He was crossing a road when Ngannou was coming by. And, he broke his spine in the build-up of this fight. I would say, you know what, that makes sense. He looked like he was in one of those, like, splints to keep your spine straight. For, like, I don't know, he looked like he had one of those posture bands on. You know? To like, I don't know, he was just so rigid. So rigid in this fight. So, Mario Bautista wins. No 10k bounty. Thank God. Mario Bautista gets it done. We move on. Joe Pyfer versus Kelvin Gastelum. I went with Joe Pyfer to win by finish. I thought he would get a submission over Kelvin Gastelum because I know he's got a really underrated grappling game. But I think he fell in love with trying to KO Kelvin after the 1st round because he hurt him so many times in the 1st with nasty shots. And the numbers on the screen were all wrong in this fight. All wrong. Pyfer actually outlanded him every round here. Round 3, I gave to Kelvin because the numbers were more even. And I thought Kelvin landed some good stinging shots on Joe Pyfer that got a bit of his attention. So I actually gave round 3 to Kelvin Gastelum. But I had this fight scored 29-27. 10-8 in the 1st round. 2nd round, close round to Pyfer because he landed the better shots. And he landed more. I don't know what stats they were showing on screen during the fight. They had like 14-10 in favor of Kelvin at the halfway point. It was 17-11 at the end of the 2nd round overall. Kelvin threw a lot more in the 2nd than he did in the 1st. He threw 20 strikes in the 1st, 50 strikes in the 2nd. But Joe Pyfer just was too powerful. And Kelvin couldn't get going with volume or combinations because Pyfer could hurt him. You know, in the 1st round, he sunk Kelvin with a big punch. Messed up the ground and pound a little bit. Kelvin gets back up. Then he lands a flush head kick on Kelvin. And Kelvin just eats it. A flush head kick on Kelvin. And Kelvin eats it like nothing. Not even a wobble. Then he drops him again at the end of the 1st round. So definitely a 10-8 round from Joe Pyfer. Only one judge gave him that, which is insane. But as this fight goes on, I will say, Kelvin, tough as they come, one of the best chins in the history of the sport. No doubt about it. I will say that Joe Pyfer started to look like, where's the next layer of your game? You know? Where's the next layer? When do we switch it up? When do we take this into gear 2? Gear 1 has worked. It started to not work because of Kelvin's adjustments in round 2. When do you adjust back towards Kelvin? But I guess he just thought, I won 10-8 and I won the 2nd, so I don't need to make an adjustment and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And he still did land really big shots on Kelvin, but I was waiting to see another layer to his game, but it's still the same old big power single shot Joe Pyfer. He did mix in a takedown in the third, but yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to watch Joe Pyfer, and he's a really powerful guy, and he's fun to watch. So, good win from Joe. Great win. He's back on track, and we'll see what happens moving forward with him. Moving on up the card, Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. You know what? Kayla Harrison dominated. I'm going to say a statement that's going to get me in trouble. I think Juliana Pena can't fight, and it's just, I'm not saying that Kayla Harrison's stand-up looked any great, okay? Their stand-up is not their strong point, right? Juliana Pena is the jiu-jitsu girl, and Kayla Harrison is a wrestler that gets top position and likes to do ground and pound. She ended up finishing a Kimura in side control in round 2. Very, very dominant win from Kayla Harrison. She took no adversity in this fight pretty much, other than like a punch that she ate. But with Juliana Pena, I mean, look at Wang Cong. Let's just use that as an example. The women's flyweights, compared to the women's bantamweights, it's an insane, stark difference in skill level. Wang Cong, Natalia Silva, Alexa Grasso, even the ones that aren't as good. You know, you've got Rose in that division now. You've got, Shevchenko and Fiorot kind of stank it up in their last fight. But I'm talking about technique. When it comes to just simply being able to go for an inside low kick, when it comes to being able to go to the body with a shot and land a counter punch as someone comes in, Juliana Pena, to this day, looks like she has no idea what she's doing out there. And that needs to be said. On the feet, she's just awkwardly shucking in with her weird stance, winging punches at times, and then just ending up in the clinch, and that's it. On the bottom position, getting held down by Kayla or getting beaten up by Kayla. And Kayla's too physical for these girls. Too physical, too strong. And it's not just the physicality where she's just, Merab, where he picked up O'Malley up against a cage and fucking dunked him off to the side, where it's just like, what the fuck can you even do about that? It's that she's doing inside-outside trips, and it's like slick. She's mixing in her slick technique with her physicality, and it's a real problem. Merab does that as well. But what I'm saying is that in this fight, Kayla didn't just rely on her pure physicality. You know what I mean? So Kayla Harrison wins. She's going to fight Nunes next. It's a big fight. I'm not too amped up for it, but it's been sold. Nunes got in the cage. They had a face-off. It's a big fight. It's bigger than anything else that can happen right now in the bantamweight division. There's nothing at women's bantamweight, right? I mean, let me look at the women's bantamweight division real quick. Because there really is nothing there in that division. I'm going to look at the rankings right now. What we got at women's bantamweight coming up? We've got Norma. Okay, hang on a second. We got Norma Jamont. I didn't realize we had Norma Jamont in that division. But other than that, it's Ketlin Vieira, who we know he ain't that good, but probably does beat Juliana Pena. Pennington is still at the top. Maybe they'll do a Pennington versus Jamont. Chasson just lost to Vieira. Aldana's still sitting there at number 6. I don't remember the last time we saw her fight. Aylin Perez is number 7. I mean, what a bleak division that we're in. Mayra Bueno Silva still at number 8. Yana Santos is literally a full-time mum and is stepping into the cage, and she's sitting at number 9. I mean, the women's bantamweight division, Misha Tate is ranked. The women's bantamweight division is a fucking wasteland right now of talent. So, women's flyweight's where it's at. We move on. Up the card to the main event. Merab Dvalishvili versus Sean O'Malley. Now, I'm going to get shit on. I know I'm going to get shit on. I'm going to give this is my video take. When it's live and I want O'Malley to win, because I think it's better for the division if O'Malley won, because right now I don't know what's next at bantamweight, and Merab doesn't want to move up to 145. So I'm emotional. I'm angry. I'm like, fuck. And I'm arguing with chat, telling me, you don't like that shit? Why are you acting like you don't want that? And I'm like, dude, I want O'Malley to win. I'm sorry, I wanted O'Malley to win, okay? But Merab Dvalishvili is the greatest bantamweight of all time. Merab Dvalishvili is the greatest bantamweight of all time. There is no discussion. He was already the greatest bantamweight of all time. But it was going to be told on how does his career end, though. Does he go on a losing streak at the end of his career? Because that's going to maybe tarnish his legacy a little bit. So it was all about, like, how does this story end for Merab? But Merab's the GOAT of bantamweight. And you know what? He's pushing towards being the GOAT of the sport. And pushing to being one of the more I wouldn't say one of the more dominant fighters of all time. Because he's not destroying everyone in a round or, you know, never bleeding in a fight or never getting hurt. You know, Khabib had never got hurt in a fight, you know, barely gave away a round. Merab gives away rounds and will have a 48-47 decision and a 49-46 scorecard here. So it's a little different with Merab. But, man, what do you do about Merab? How do you win? Like, genuinely, how do you win? I thought O'Malley would have it in him to get this one done. Because I thought it would be... And to be honest with you, in the first 2 rounds, I was still pretty confident that, you know what? O'Malley could pull this off. But then the 3rd round happened. Round 1 and 2 were competitive rounds in this fight. They just were. Merab got the takedowns and got some control, but it wasn't the full on top of O'Malley control for a certain amount of minutes. I think in round 2 at the end of round 1, he ended up on top of O'Malley for a bit, and that won him the first round, right? Because O'Malley started the first round very good. Landing good, landing to the body, front kicks to the body were landing well for him. He landed a couple punches to the face of Merab, and it was like, oh, hang on. O'Malley's doing better early here. And then Merab got to him, landed a couple of shots of his own, and it's just with O'Malley, he has to keep his hands down to have a natural underhook as Merab crashes in. And when he does that, Merab will tag him. Merab will tag him when he does that. So Merab comes crashing in and O'Malley goes, oh shit, let me make sure I can get an underhook here and just hope that I'm out the way of this if it's a punch to my face. Whereas you've got to be like, if Merab crashes in, I'm fucking throwing something. And that's just something that O'Malley didn't have in this fight. He was so focused on making sure that he did not get taken down and that he improved on the aspect of stuffing takedowns in this fight. And Merab just plays on that. He plays on you thinking the whole time, can't get taken down. I can't let this guy get going with his wrestling. So he's got these guys second guessing themselves and they don't want to throw. They don't want to throw when Merab comes in because it's an exhausting way of losing. Not this way because it ended up being an earlier finish than normally in Merab's fights. But in a typical Merab fight, it's like, ugh. It must be so frustrating for the fighter on bottom position or the fighter who's held up against the cage getting the knee to the thigh. Oh my God, this guy's beating me like this. It's just like such a demoralizing way because you're like, I'm just being outmanned by Merab. They're genuinely just being out-machoed by Merab and out-physicality. They're being out-DNA'd by Merab is what they're being. Back to back to back to back. Even if the fights are close, it's Merab's physicality that takes over. And he's getting better at his skill. He is. And although there's never going to be a moment where Merab drops someone, and there's never going to be a moment where Merab has a guy wobbled, and there's never going to be a moment where Merab has a highlight reel of, oh my God, I can't believe he did. We are never going to have that. We are just never going to have it. And that's something that I just have to come to peace with, I think. I need to come to peace with the fact of, you know what? And I'm correcting myself for coping here. You know what? We have other divisions. We have JDM. You know what I mean? We have JDM. We have Makhachev. I'll admit it. We have Makhachev to get finishes. We have Ilya Topuria, Charles Oliveira coming up. We have Tom Aspinall, hopefully, when he comes back after they stop this shenanigan with John Jones. We have divisions where we're going to have these warriors. And we're going to have these guys that are there to destroy. Duplessis is there to scrap every single time. And I need to be at peace with that. I need to start to be at peace with the fact that not every division has to have these guys at the top. And Merab is just going to do this. You know, and he got a finish. He submitted O'Malley with a guillotine in round 3. And I didn't think it was in at first because normally Merab, and I said this even while I was watching, I was like, this is just what Merab does to keep control. Like if he notices that you're getting up from north-south on your knees, he'll threaten the choke to make you collapse back down to the ground. O'Malley tried to collapse back down and his leg actually got caught, or his neck actually got caught in the twist. And he didn't have enough space to get flat to the canvas. So he just ended up tapping in the third round to the guillotine. I have a personal attachment to the bantamweight division. Merab Dvalishvili, sensational. Bantamweight GOAT. Shouldn't have doubted him. And that's not why I picked O'Malley, by the way. I've picked against Merab because I do think that there are weaknesses. There are a lot of... He makes it close. Certain rounds are swing rounds. You know what I mean? There's moments where you think, ugh. You know, when he's swinging certain punches. And I was rewatching the Umar fight with some of the stand-up exchanges. And I was thinking, man, if O'Malley locks in a bit better. And he's not as injured. And all of this stuff that's going into the rematch of he's had time off. And he's fully prepared. And Merab's on a tough schedule. And I just thought it was ripe for an O'Malley upset here. And to be fair, in the first 2 rounds, O'Malley did make good adjustments. In the second round, he was throwing Merab off of him with the takedown attempts. Like, Merab would shoot in and O'Malley would throw him off. And that didn't happen in the first fight. Normally in the first fight, whenever Merab shot, he at least got O'Malley down to his knees against the cage. And that did happen in this one. But it's not the reason why I picked against Merab. It's just the reason why I'm angry at Merab's success at bantamweight is, man, this division meant something to me, man. This division really had sentimental value to me, and Merab's destroyed it with his ability. And that's the truth of the matter. And I know when I say it in an angrier tone and a more copy tone, because I'm playing it up for the stream, the salt emojis are flying in chat, the donations are coming in, and they're making me even more annoyed. And it is real. I'm not playing it up to that level, but I'm also noticing that I'm coping and also trying to make a show of it as well. I was coping, though. But it's just, Merab has destroyed something so valuable to me. This was the division, and hear me out, this was the division of Peter Yan and his title fights. You know? And O'Malley, Yan too, and O'Malley goes on to knock out Aljo, and I'm thinking, we're back. We're back to the Dillashaw division of old, where it's Dillashaw Barao. This division meant so much to me. And Merab has killed it dead with his ability. And no one can do anything about it. And it hurts. It just hurts. This was the division of Dillashaw having the sensational striking performance and outclassing moment at bantamweight against Renan Barão the first time. And then the second time against Barão, he does the same thing and he lands a 50-punch combination on Barão up against the cage. It was that division. It was the division where Renan Barão goes out there, and I can't remember the name of the guy that Renan Barão finished to actually, what's it called? Who did he finish with a spinning back kick to the face? Who was the guy that Renan Barão finished with a spinning back kick to the face? A back kick to the face. It was Eddie Wineland for the title. How long ago was that, huh? 2013. It was Eddie Wineland. That was what it was. He finished him with a spinning back kick to the face. You know? And then he slept Faber by KO. And it was that division to me. This is why I'm angry about this. It was this. And then it was Cruz Dillashaw, which was like a striking aficionado matchup. And then Garbrandt shows up. And we get the Garbrandt title fight performance. And then we get the Garbrandt-Dillashaw saga where Garbrandt knocks down Dillashaw and Dillashaw saved by the bell only to come back in round 2 and sleep Garbrandt. And it's cinema. Bantamweight has always been cinema. You gotta hear me out a little on this, right? I've given Merab his flowers. He's a sensational grappler. I can appreciate how good what he's doing makes him. Okay? To these top level guys. To Peter Yan, dominating Peter Yan, I cannot deny him. Okay? This used to be the division of cinema. Of Dillashaw Garbrandt saga. You know? And it's just not that anymore. And I have to accept that, I guess. I just have to accept it. And then it was like Jan Aldo. Jan Aldo for the belt. And then Jan Sandhagen while Aljo has kneed in the face. And even the first Jan fight, it was such a savage performance from Jan against Aljo. Even the second fight was entertaining to watch. But Aljo kind of stalled it out a bit. And then it kind of went to a lull patch. And I really wanted it to pick up some hype. And then O'Malley saved it, in my opinion. With a nasty KO and then Nevera schooling where he's I just want that at bantamweight. Bantamweight was always the division where people entered a matrix for me. Right? That's what it was, where Cruz is weaving and moving on the back foot. That's what it was when I was young, when I was a teenager watching it. Cruz is weaving and moving on the back foot, and it's like, whoa, these are the matrix guys. The bantamweight guys are the matrix guys to me. You know? And Dillashaw's the savage with the best technique you've ever seen, and head kick to a punch and a slip and a punch dip, uppercut, right, head kick after knee. And then O'Malley's in there, and he's like dribbling, and he's on the come up, dribbling a fake basketball between his legs and landing shots. And then it's Merab, and it hurts. It hurts that it's now Merab to me. And I can't shake that. I was rooting for O'Malley to win. I wanted him to bring back the Matrix factor to the bantamweight division. But Merab got a guillotine, and that's cool. That's cool, I guess. Guillotines are cool. Guillotines are cool. I know guillotines are cool. Listen, and if it was JDM guillotine in Bilal, I'd be cheering. You know what I mean? But it's just fucking Merab, just fucking moving around on the outside, running in a bit and like getting them with some shots. And his stand-up has improved. And his takedown entries are great. They're just great takedown entries. They really are. I miss the bantamweight division, man. And Merab has killed it for me. He killed it. And now I don't know what's next. This is what I think. And this is where I'll end it. Where do we go from here? You know? And you know what hurt me even more? In the middle of my coping. Where it was I was coping at a level 7. Okay? In the middle of my coping, Dana White says, you know, we got to think about that Umar rematch. I heard him say it at the press conference in my ear. I turned the cope up to 10 because I was like, yeah, this is just, I know Merab Umar was fun, and I was rooting for Merab because I don't like Umar, and I wanted to see a Dagestani guy lose. It's funny. Okay, the fan base cried about it for weeks, as I am crying now. Okay? This is the to and fro of the MMA world. But don't come at me, man. I wanted this. Because you know what it was? Now with Merab as champ, there's no featherweight move. He said that. We have no super fight discussion to be made. If it was Merab saying, I want Volkanovski next, I'd be like, you know what? Let's run Volkanovski Merab. Pound for pound, massive. That would be so sick to me. I would love Merab's win if that was a reality that could exist. You know? But he doesn't want to fight Volk. There's no Merab Pantoja going to happen. So it's just Merab and his division of who's going to get the next undeserved title shot that's going to lose to him. Likely by decision. Maybe now Merab has upped his game to the level where these finishes are going to be more often. But a guillotine once every 10 fights as a finish is not... It's not it for me, man. It's just not the same bantamweight division. But I have to learn to appreciate the other divisions, and I know that I can't get it all my way. And Merab is incredibly talented at what he does, and his cardio is fucking insane, and I don't understand his cardio, and it's unfair. Can I just say that? Merab is that good. And this is a crazy thing, and this just goes to show you how good Merab is. Take my cope to show you how good Merab is as a fighter. I'm sitting here right now at 8:40 a.m. UK time, and I'm thinking to myself while looking at Merab's win right here on the schedule, Merab Dvalishvili, a win over Sean O'Malley by submission in the 3rd round, and I'm thinking, it's just not fair. That's how good Merab is at fighting. See you later. Goodbye. I was wrong. I don't care about being wrong, to be honest with you. I miss this. This was my baby. Bantamweight was my baby. And Merab has destroyed it. He's ruined it. Okay? He's ruined it for me. And I have to learn to move on. He's not going to be here forever, you know? Because who knows? Maybe he will. When does he stop? When will Merab stop? He's going to be active. I bet you anything Merab's going to be back in there in September or October before the end of the year. against someone else. And then if he wins that one, he's going to be back February, next year, March, uninjured, no problems, never goes into a fight looking a bit off. Same level of grit, same level of cardio every single time. Never needs to recover from an injury. Never break. He can't break a hand in round 1 on O'Malley's elbow. Like, give me something, MMA gods. I'm praying for something. This is what I'm now praying for with to see Merab lose. I know he's and listen, Merab's a great guy. He's a really good dude. He's a wholesome dude. Very, very nice. Better man than me, obviously. But man, he can't break his foot on a kick. You know what I mean? Round 1, O'Malley checks it. Oh, Merab's walking funny. You know, we can't even get that. He's just perfect. He's just a perfect robot machine sent to destroy everyone, and no one can do anything about it. Is this what you're telling me? I'm losing it. He's the bantamweight GOAT. And even if he goes on a losing streak, no one will tie this streak. Look at Merab's recent resume. Let me find out Merab's recent resume. I know it off by heart, but I want to say it in order. Just perfect cadence. Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo, Peter Yan, Jose Aldo. In his last 6 fights. One more time. For a UFC bantamweight. Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley again for the fucking sake of it, just to finish him even easier. Let's compare that with Dominic Cruz's resume. What's Dominic Cruz's 5 wins that he had in his peak? Uriah Faber, TJ Dillashaw, Demetrius Johnson, Uriah Faber, Scott Jorgensen, Joseph Benavidez. It's not the same. It's just not the same. Merab's the GOAT, by far. And he was the GOAT before this. But this just cemented it, and so where no one can even debate it. See you later. Goodbye.